Hey there, my friends. It's Dr. Anthony Balduzzi, and I want to welcome you back to another episode here on the Fit Father Project and the Fit Mother Project podcast. Today, we're joined by two guests, Matt and Brie Kuiper, who are the founders of Desert Plunge, a company that manufactures really awesome cold plunges that you can use at home. And they're called Desert Plunge because they're actually based out of Arizona, where I am based out of. So it might just be the case that people who live in really intense hot climates end up getting interested in getting into really cold environments. But I think it's actually a little deeper than just like cool off in the desert. We're inviting Matt and Brie here to talk about their story of founding their company, as well as some of the benefits of getting into cold water and making this a part of your routine, because it's just going to help you feel so much better. And Matt specifically is a husband, father of two, and he was an electrical contractor for 20 years. So he learned how to basically create things like the tubs now and solve complex problems. And I won't steal too much thunder from the story of how this actually came to be, but it came, not surprisingly, like many of our health journeys, from a little bit of a wake-up call and a scary experience that led Matt to really looking at the power of cold plunging and now running this company with his wife, Brie. So welcome both of you to the podcast. And I'll also say your first podcast ever, which I am so grateful that our platform gets to be that. So welcome to you both.
Yeah, appreciate it, Dr. Anthony.
Thanks.
We're excited.
Cool. Well, I think the stories are always like the best place to start, especially because you literally dedicated your life to creating cold containers for other humans. So there must be a pretty good reason on why this came to be. So insofar as either of you wants to dive in, tell me how you got connected to the cold.
Yeah. So kind of just start from where it all began. You know, I've always sought cold therapy because of mental health reasons. And that actually all started back, even when I was younger. I always kind of had a low level underlying depression, but it was pretty manageable. I would say up until really like 2019, we were getting ready to go on a trip to Ecuador. There's a lot going on. The trip kind of happened quickly. And I was having a lot of anxiety about it. We're trying to cram it all in and get ready to go. So the days leading up to it, I was kind of feeling a little off, wasn't feeling myself. But then as soon as we got on the plane, I had a panic attack. And I'd never had a panic attack before. It was super scary. I didn't know what was happening. It was a 5-hour plane ride. I figured when we landed, that would be good. Forget about it, move on with my life. But that was far from the case. We ended up landing in Ecuador, didn't sleep well that night. Then we ended up heading into the Amazon rainforest in the middle of nowhere in an eco lodge, very remote. And then at that point we couldn't leave. So I was stuck there and I hadn't been sleeping. Wow. I was going through some severe anxiety, insomnia, depression, and it was bad. So we ended up getting out of there. We cut the trip short, got home and figured, okay, I'll kind of regroup. Things will get better. And nothing got better. It was really 7 months of just debilitating severe anxiety, depression, and insomnia. I tried multiple things. I tried talk therapy. I tried antidepressants. I tried natural supplements, anything you could think of, EMDR. While those are all good, they just weren't working for me at the time. And my brother actually turned me on to this guy called Wim Hof.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people probably know him. He kind of started this whole movement of cold therapy. And I think his wife actually had committed suicide and he was in a very dark place. And he found that cold exposure and this breathing that he does kind of snapped him out of it. So Brie actually found a local wellness center here in Arizona called Optimize.
Yeah. And
they were one of the first wellness centers that did cold therapy. So I decided to give it a shot. I did it. I remember it was like 4:00 in the afternoon. Went and tried my first ice bath. And almost immediately, the cloud that was kind of hovering over me just lifted. It was instantaneous almost. And I can't say that would happen for everybody, but it happened for me. And that night I got home, I had a sense of normalcy again. My sense of humor started coming back. Like I said, that darkness that was kind of just hovering over me had lifted. I didn't sleep well that night because I had so much energy. I kept going and it just kept getting better and better. So I was driving from Chandler to Arcadia every day. And I actually started this in the winter. So I'd drive to Chandler to Arcadia every day, every morning. And then I would do another cold plunge again at night. So I was super dedicated to it, doing it twice a day.
Wow.
Just because I saw the amazing effects that it had on my mental health. Now, it hasn't gone completely away. I still struggle at times with some anxiety and a little bit of depression. But if I continue the consistency of cold plunging, the breathing, and I definitely work in exercise and sunlight exposure and all that, I do pretty well. So that's kind of my story and what brought me to cold plunging.
Nice. And were you both married and together at this time, like Brie, when you guys went to Ecuador? And do you also cold plunge? Have you this become a part of your life?
It has now. Matt was trying to encourage me to plunge, and it took me about 3.5 years. I was pretty stubborn, but I really enjoy it now. And I plunge for completely different reasons than Matt does. So
tell me about it, please. What are your reasons?
For me, I struggle with attention, like ADD. And so finding natural remedies is really important to me. But the other thing is just for me, it's discipline.
Yeah.
I can struggle with that. I struggle with discipline and consistency. Is something that I really admire in Matt. So I do it for that. I do it to pursue hard things. I feel like in the past, I've really been a comfort seeker. And so just pursuing discomfort is a really good just example to set for our kids. And I also really enjoy it for the weight loss effects that it can have as well. So
for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so this is now a daily part of both of your lives, and you've created a company around making really accessible, well-built, portable cold plunges. They're really cool. It's like, I would describe it as like a really heavy duty, like Yeti. I know it's a Grizzly kind of cooler situation with a really nice chiller with filtration, with all the cool stuff that you'd want. And what I found, Matt, relating to your life, like the idea of driving to places, I mean, you found it was so powerful that you just decided to skip the logistic hurdles or just like bear them and go do that. But like, I became consistent with cold plunging when I got one at my house. And like, that's a game changer because it's just right there. You could do it in the morning. And unlike a workout, which can take 30 minutes to 60 minutes, of hard pushing, and gives you similar-ish benefits, like 3 minutes to 5 minutes in the cold, and like you get this huge boost. And like, it's like a morning coffee for me. So
yeah,
I do it daily, and it's for those reasons, the mental alertness. And some of the science that I know is like, you get into the cold plunge, it raises your dopamine levels, which makes you feel motivated and happy, your norepinephrine levels, which gives you that energy jolt, and natural opioids release that make you feel good. And it's persistent. It lasts for a long time afterwards. It's not just like drinking a coffee and crashing. So our body has a natural pharmacy, and it just turns out we're designed in such a way that cold taps into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Well, talk to me about like the creating of a cold plunge company. Cause like you went from both you guys benefit from this to, I actually want to help people get into this. And like, what was it like to actually start to create and design the tubs? And like, what's the mission right now?
I built my first plunge right before COVID because I saw the writing on the wall. I saw that the facility was going to get shut down. So I'm like, I can't go without this. So I need to figure out how to build one. So I'll give a little shout out to a guy named John Richter. He helped me build my first one out of a chest freezer. And he has a book, Chest Freezer Cold Plunge. He's got a big Facebook group. So if anybody's ever interested in just DIYing, he's a good guy to reach out to. But I bought his book, built my first chest freezer. And then then I had access to my house, which like you mentioned is so much easier. You can be so much more consistent. And it just had such a impact on me. I'm like, what can I do to get an affordable plunge to people? Because at that time cold plunging wasn't that well known yet in 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
And the ones that were very expensive and not that affordable. So I started racking my brain. I initially came out with my first model. It was built out of a stock tank, pretty cool, slick design. And it worked well. It was just very labor intensive, not scalable. So if I wanted to reach as many people as possible, I had to kind of rethink my design and what we were doing. So we had a friend approach me and he had a big grizzly cooler. He's like, hey, I've been throwing ice in this, for the past 3-4 months, but he's like, could you add a chiller to it and make it a cold plunge? I'm like, I guess so. I said, I've never done that before, but it seems easy enough. And I converted it for him. And that's kind of how that whole process started of where we're at today with the grizzly coolers.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
cool, pun intended, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's it's awesome how it just twists and turns. And now this is like a really cool design. And your tubs look really cool. Like it's badass to see this like hefty cooler, and the chiller looks really sleek and all that. And obviously pretty durable, I would say. Could probably survive a nuclear explosion. So you can cold plunge in the aftermath. So that's awesome. How like, take me into a day of your life of your family. So let's say I'm just observing you guys tomorrow, your kids as well. Like, how do you incorporate this into your life? When do you plunge? What does it look like? And then let's talk about from there some practical considerations for people who want to start incorporating cold. When should they do it? How long should they do it? Water temperature, some of the practicalities of trying this. Because I think people understand that there's something here that happens, and how does the rubber meet the road, and how does it work in your life?
You want to take that?
Yeah. So for us, when in the very beginning, when I started plunging, I was really taking advantage of the morning because it gives you that, like you were talking about, the dopamine release and all of that chemical magic that happens in your brain. It really carries you through the day. So for me, in the beginning, it was in the morning. It can replace a cup of coffee and then some, but it's just, and I like to take a shower and end on cold so that my metabolism is trying to warm my body up so that I'm, reaping those cold exposure benefits throughout the day. So it's take a shower and then hop in the cold. It's typically from 2 to 3 minutes. I know that Kuiper says a great goal is 11 minutes a week, but my plunges are typically anywhere from 2 to 3.5 minutes. Sometimes when life gets really crazy, like right now while we're building a company, the plunges have been starting to happen at night, and the kids are just hanging out outside with us on the patio. Matt's plunging, I'm plunging, the kids are playing in the yard. We try to get them in. What gets them in is when their friends come over.
Yeah.
That's what gets them in the water. It's not us.
That's cool to know. Yeah.
It's the peer pressure.
Yeah.
So, but it's right out on our back patio. So it's just really easy. It's right there, but.
Yeah.
Anything to add to that, Matt? I mean, on any of these topics or comments?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really important. I would love our kids to adopt this, especially, now, but when they get older in life, because I think it's going to be a huge benefit to them. So we really try and anytime something's going on, I'm like, get in the cold plunge. And, they don't do it most of the time. But like I said, when their friends come over, they will do it. And that's cool. And I love seeing them in it. But I think when they see us in it, eventually they're going to do it as well. So I think it's just really important to see mom and dad doing it.
Yeah.
So I hope they adopt that at some point. And then for me, just my routine, if I could do it every morning, ideally, that's what I would do. Right now, I'm just fitting it in when I can. But I think routine and structure for me is important. So if I'm in a groove, I'm doing it every morning.
Yeah, I like that. And the cool thing is you get wet, you can towel off, but it doesn't take a ton of time. In your morning routine, if you have a cold plunge at home, it could be a net 5-minute experience.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to stack it. So on my shower in my bathroom, I have a pair of swim trunks that I hang that are only for the cold plunge. Pop those puppies on, go get in there. And then I get my morning sunshine afterwards as I'm warming up a little bit. So it's a nice little stack. Now I want to zone in on, I think people listening to this, I would venture to guess that maybe only 5 to 10% of people who have listened to this actually have cold plunged, but 90% of people know it's probably good for you. So walk us through the process. You open up the desert plunge. The water is what temperature and what is it like when you put your legs in, you get in, and then what's the process of going through a 2 to 3 minute cold plunge experientially? And maybe each of you can answer this because I think it'd be valuable for people to understand what's happening mentally and emotionally, how you're breathing, how you're settling in. What's the cold plunge experience like?
So water temperature really varies. The we have two different models. One of them goes down to 37 degrees. The other one goes down to 39 degrees. I don't ever get in it that cold. Some people like to do that just because it's just more of a mental hurdle. And they said, just getting through that. But really, anything below 60 degrees is a cold plunge. So we keep ours at 45 to 48 degrees. So
nice.
Most people, when they initially get in, it's a sense of shock and like almost hyperventilating. You can't breathe. You're breathing really fast. So some people get scared and think they're having a panic attack, or they need to get out, or something's going to happen. So you really you can get in fast, get in slow. I wouldn't recommend delaying it. Some people just take their time. I'd say just sit down and then just breathe through it. It's going to be hard, but then take slow, deep breaths. And I would say after 30 seconds to 60 seconds, your breath starts to slow down. Your body starts to adapt. You're not so tight. But I would say if you're fighting it, it's going to be worse. So if you're trying to stay out of the water, if you're trying to keep your hands out, like I would just say, just embrace it. It's not meant to feel great. It's not like you're sitting in a jacuzzi, but your body can eventually relax. And fighting it only makes it worse. So just calm yourself before you get in, slow your breathing. And then after 30 seconds to 60 seconds, you start to adapt.
Hey, it's Dr. Ray. I want to quickly pause this episode to thank you so much for listening to this Fit Mother Project podcast. I am just blown away at how amazing this podcast has become. All the powerful stories, all the great expert interviews. And I am so grateful for you for tuning in and being here with everything we're creating here at the Fit Mother Project. And I just wanted to pause to acknowledge you and thank you again for listening. Please keep listening and tuning in to all the great stuff we're doing here at the FMP. Let's get back to today's episode.
Yeah. So mine, and Matt can attest to this. I really fought it a lot, right? In the beginning. I mean, I would just be stiff. I'd be sitting up as high as I could, my arms out. And for me, it's a little bit more kind of emotional or spiritual because there's just something super empowering and really powerful about just surrendering to the discomfort. And so for me, I feel like it's a very powerful experience. You're getting in and because for the first several plunges that I ever did, I was fighting it. I was just counting the seconds till I could get out. I was already resisting before I got in.
Yeah.
Whereas when you go in, now when I go in with a different mindset of this is good for me, I get to do this. I'm thankful that I get to do this. I'm thankful for the blessings that it's bringing to me and just kind of, pursuing that. It's pretty amazing. And there's a lot of them where I really find it. There's some that are some plunges are not as enjoyable as others, but sometimes they're really enjoyable. And another thing that I find really empowering and just powerful is how, like, I've had some addiction in the past or addictive traits in my personality. And I find this to be really powerful for that as well. So no matter what, if you're addicted to your screen or shop, you're escaping, you're seeking comfort. And this is the complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
And how cool to give yourself that gift with something that's free, like cold water, So I think training the brain to seek discomfort on a regular basis is really powerful for a lot of reasons.
Really well said.
Yeah.
And as that nervous system has that initial natural response to be like, whoa, which we experience in many ways, shapes, or forms throughout life, when we can use our awareness to kind of calm into that, to surrender, as you said, and just to be okay with it. It teaches you on a meta level to be okay with like all things. It's like you become aware that this is a sensation. It's an intense one, but it's okay. And then honestly, like I'll speak for having done daily cold plunge for a long, long time. You get like used to it, you like it, and you also get way better at it. Like I can pop into cold water now and like my system like reacts and responds very quickly. And I'm just like in it and it's good. You don't have as much of a shock response. So that's showing that the nervous system adapts and it's awesome. And obviously the fat burning benefits, I don't want to overlook that as well. Like the brown fat activation, the higher metabolism. If you pair that with intermittent fasting and a good healthy nutrition plan, it can really push you over Like I noticed when I started daily cold plunging, I lost like several percentages of body fat and I was able to stay leaner more easily.
Yes.
And so, hey, that's kind of cool for a couple minutes. And it's not exactly, it's exercise in a different way. So let's talk about like maybe cardiovascular system and some heart health benefits. Have you I honestly consider cold plunge kind of like a workout in itself. Have you all noticed anything on that front with the heart? Because we know the blood flow constricts to the core and then you get this reperfusion. And I'm always red afterwards, which is kind of funny once you get out. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I have definitely noticed it. And I had my blood pressure taken and they took my heart rate and it was really surprising. I believe my resting heart rate was in the 40s.
Yeah, that's low.
It was pretty low. And, obviously work out, which helps, but I think a lot of that has to do with cold plunging as well, with that affecting the cardiovascular system. So I have definitely noticed it has made a difference. Because I think before I was in the mid 60s before I started doing cold plunging. Now I'm somewhere in the mid 40s. So I had.
That's awesome.
There.
We talked to a friend last night, actually, who's had one of our plunges for 4 months. And he was telling us that his numbers have greatly improved. I can't remember what they were. I wish I could.
His blood pressure.
His blood pressure. Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, just to speak into a little bit of like the mechanism, like as we age, circulation we know is so important for delivering the vital nutrients and the oxygen. And we want arteries that are compliant and can expand and contract, and our veins too. But like we want tissues that can expand and contract versus like when you go into a heart doctor and you hear like, oh, you have arterial stiffness or calcifications. Like that's the opposite of the ability to expand and contract. And what the cold does is it's such a powerful signal for the vascular system to contract and then to reopen. So you're getting like this pumping effect. And like exercise does that by raising heart rate, by raising blood pressure and this, but like the cold is unique in terms of how it does it so rapidly. And then you get this reperfusion effect afterwards. So it's like, if you're interested in your cardiovascular health, cold plunging and you're not doing it, like, man, it's definitely low hanging fruit. And obviously you feel really good afterwards. Like the high that people get when they have coffee and they got that nice buzz, like that's the cold plunge, right? I mean, it's nice.
So that's the scientific definition or description of why I'm so red when I get out.
Yeah, you get that reperfusion. Yeah, the blood vessels, all the blood goes to the vital organs, which is cool too. You get this shunting effect. And now like, let's talk about a little more of like the evolutionary basis of it. Like all mammals have that mammalian dive reflex. We've heard about this. It's when the blood goes to the core, like when a whale or something dives, the blood goes to the vital organs and then you get this reflushing out effect. And anytime we're flushing things through the body and creating shifts in fluid volume, it's typically a very good thing. So yeah, the red afterwards is funny, right? Because you just got out of the cold. Now you have all this surface circulation, which I'm sure benefits cosmetically too, like probably better skin health and all that. Yeah, so that's really great. All right, so I want to chat like at this point about what your all plans are like heading into the future, like with this company and with the mission, and like you're making tubs, which I'll say are what I've seen the greatest intersection of quality and affordability. Because you look on some of these major companies, you type in cold plunge, you see ads. These things are typically $5,000 up to $10,000, and I'll say this, like, knowing the benefits of cold plunging personally, if you can buy one and you want to use it consistently, like that is a price tag that is worth paying long-term for your health, vitality, wellness. Yet y'all found a way to do it like cheaper and also have a really high quality product too. So what's the plans with the company and what you're doing? And also I'd love for you to chat a little bit about like the website and social where people can find you and check out your tubs if they're interested in this stuff too.
Yeah. So, and I'll just say too, one of the things that about before I go into where we're heading, I really feel like everything that we've done with this company just has been kind of a next step in faith, because after Matt built the chest freezer, we were shopping around for plunges and he kept saying, I know there's got to be a better way to build a quality plunge for less money. There's got to be a way. And he kept saying it for months. And it was like a little voice that wouldn't go away. And so, I feel like there's tragedy that happens, but there's also beauty that can come from the other side of it. And I do feel like it is a huge blessing that came from what happened in 2019.
Right.
And so it was like a knocking on his door that wouldn't go away. And so finally, I remember we were in the kitchen one night and I said, you just have to do it. This isn't going to go away. This desire for you to create this isn't going to go away, because it was quite a while that it was happening for. And so I think the vision now is just, we're just continuing to move forward in faith. We don't have a grand plan, but we're just trying to really manage the company in a way to where we're able to take really good care of everyone. It was never really our goal in the beginning to get huge really quickly, because we've always wanted to make sure that we can give people the support that we would want. And because this is a passion for us, this is like a mission. This is almost it's missional why we're doing this. Yeah. Because that 7 months was the most painful 7 months of our entire life. So the fact that the cold turned it around for Matt is like, we just want to give that back. So we just want to make sure we're not haphazard about it. We feel like we're in a really good place now with contacts and parts and things like that. And we're in a really good position to go to the next level. That's what we've been working on for the past 5 or 6 months. So I feel like that was a very, kind of high level answer. Yeah. But we're just ready we feel like we're in a good position and have gotten a lot of things down and figured out so that we can just respond to people that are ready now at this point.
I feel that way too. Like, I feel your alignment, and like, I'm pretty plugged in to my own spirituality. And like, I got chills when you were sharing about Matt's, just like how it was like a soul on purpose experience of how you guys are really working on something that's like a deeper thread that just is like important work. And like, you've took the courageous step of like making a life around this and helping people. And I know this episode is going to reach people inside our Fit Father and Fit Mother communities who've been thinking about this, and this will push them over the edge to try this. And I just want to say I'm grateful to know you both and to be welcoming you into our community as, the cold plunge that we recommend, and an awesome product. So Matt, anything you have to share? And then I have another kind of fun question for you guys in closing on this.
Yeah, just to add to where we're going, I ultimately, we're going to take this slow, but I would love to be more than just a cold plunge company, eventually be just a wellness company, right? That offers multiple different areas of health and wellness possibilities. Just being able to partner with a lot of different type of industries. Ultimately, that's where I would love to go, because I think, mental health is so important for me, and it is so hard to deal with, and nobody knows really how to deal with it. And obviously, it's becoming more and more. There's more and more awareness around it, which is cool. But I think that ultimately, what I would like to see is just more than a cold plunge company, just a wellness company would be really cool.
That's super cool. And I want to plus on one thing. It's like, we have a general bias in the Western medical system that mental health is treated through a pill that modulates some kind of neurotransmitter level with obviously unwanted side effects, sexual dysfunction, mood, increase in suicidality in some instances. And there's all sorts of, many of these compounds are very addictive and they're not getting to root cause. I think it's just so awesome that this cold plunge and what you all do in this whole thing is showing the body-mind connection in such a powerful way that, given the right inputs, the whole system can work naturally and produce exactly what it needs internally without the external problems. And so mental health is physical health, and physical health is mental health. And the nervous system is what modulates this. And cold happens to be one of the biggest triggers we have. So that's really cool.
Awesome.
Brie, do you have something to share before I have my next question?
I think I'll just say that we're really excited for just even our particular climate here in Phoenix. We feel like we've found the best cold plunge for hot climates, with the insulation of the Grizzly, and now with this outdoor rated chiller that we have.
And if it works in the desert, it works anywhere. Because I know you have like a 3/4 to 1 horsepower chiller that can get it. If it can get your cold plunge down to 39 degrees in Arizona's summer, it'll work if you're in Wisconsin. I promise you that.
Yeah, exactly. So that, we're really excited about. But then, I think the other thing too is just to piggyback on what Matt said. I mean, we talk all the time and dream of where this can go and where it can take us, and just the people that we can reach. We're super big on community and being able to look at someone and say, hey, me too. I've been there, and this is what I did. Right now we're grinding and we're building a company, so we don't get a huge opportunity to do that. I have good feelings about the future. And
nice. All right. So my next question is just strictly out of my curiosity is like, how is it that you guys are working together so well as husband, wife, and raising a family? I want to know about the logistics really of just like doing this whole family business unit thing, working together, divisional responsibilities. I get an idea that Matt's kind of engineer, Bree's kind of running ops, but like, I don't know if that's actually true, but like, tell me about this. And I want to know about your working relationship and what you figured out about your marriage in this process as well.
So I'll start. We pray a lot. I think God is the reason we're able to do this. We can't really take the credit. I think it's God that gave us this idea. And so we're following that lead, and we are always asking God to lead our decisions and to protect our company and to protect our decisions and to protect our family. So I have to put that out there, but man, it's hard. We're navigating all the time, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of prayer and boundaries and lots of communication and just teamwork. Like, hey, we're in this. Matt has a lot of strengths. We are pretty opposite in our personalities. So I kind of run with my giftings and he runs with his giftings. And it's really been great. He is keen attention to detail. He's very, very, high attention to detail, and you produce high quality work. I'm the people person. I do a lot of talking and networking and all of that. And so I think it's just a really good combination. We protect our Sundays because we're working really hard right now building this company. So we try to be very intentional about having no screen time on Sundays and just being intentional about family time. But I think we're just really speaking up and saying what our needs are a lot right now. Yeah. And I cry. I get stressed.
Good. Let it out, right? Matt, anything to add on that?
She covered a lot of it. I mean, it's definitely been hard. It hasn't been easy. You know, she said, we're totally opposite. It's been a lot. I think she's very laid back, which is good because I am not. So she's a lot easier to work with than I am. So that's been really good. But, you know, I will say we wouldn't be here where we're at today without Brie, because, you know, she really helped push me to do this, which was cool. So she really motivates me a lot when I'm doubting myself and doubting what I'm doing and why are we doing this. And she really helps talk me through it and very encouraging. And she's my biggest supporter. So that's been huge through all of this. And I don't think I could do it without that. So yeah, but it has been hard, and we've got to be very intentional about, you know, where we're spending our time, because we still have a family. We have 2 kids and they, you know, they're young right now, and we still need to invest a lot in them. So we just got to be very cognizant about where we're spending our time. So,
but you bring Luke Mason in on building, and you know,
we get the kids in. I make them help me. You know, I'll bring them right to the shop.
Good. So, unpaid labor. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Really cool. Well, it's a privilege to get to meet you guys in this format. I love that you're from Arizona, and I know we have some fun things planned together in the future. And I also want to give you all the opportunity to share about the website, and if we have any special links and stuff like that might be for our Fit Father, Fit Mother communities and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, it's desertplunge.com. You can go to our website, check that out. And then Instagram,
it's at Desert Plunge.
Yeah.
Cool. And if we have any like referral stuff or any like codes or stuff like that, that'll be in the show notes of these episodes. But Desert Plunge is where you can check that out, and Desert Plunge on Instagram and Facebook too. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you both for your time, your energy, the work that you do, being champions of the cold, especially here in the desert. And grateful to know you both and to know that there's a really awesome, affordable, high quality cold plunge that can make this accessible to more families. I'm the biggest believer in cold. I do it every single day. My morning routine is I hydrate, I get in the cold, I get in the sun, and I meditate, and I won't do my day until I hit those things. So it's that foundation.
Awesome.
So thank you both.
Yeah, Same. Thank you.